Well, son of a gun.
What's up?
Look who's with us.
How's it going?
It's going. It's going. Glad,
Is it good?
glad you're joining us. Definitely.
It's
So
good to.
how's life up in Alaska?
Oh, it's good. It's good. We
Yeah.
got some mosquitoes going, but it's good. Got my windows
Hmm.
rolled up. The
Okay.
AC on. It's good.
Excellent. Excellent. Well,
Yeah.
your hair looks good.
Oh, well, thanks.
Not that it never looked good, but just want to give a little shout out there. Peg Bell says, "Rach, hello, welcome."
Hey, Peg, what's
Terry
going on?
Terry Cox says, "Hi, Rachel."
Hi,
Robert
Terry.
Cochran, yes.
Hey,
So
Robert. Hey,
everybody
guys.
is saying hello.
Well, hello, hello. It's good to be here
Yeah,
again.
yeah. It's good to have you here again.
Yeah.
Well, to continue a conversation,
Hmm.
gosh, there
Mm.
was such great conversation going on, and
Yeah.
we found Karen Seitz. It's Seitz. Karen, and Karen is spelled Karyn. Karen Seitz, and she
Uh-huh.
has a YouTube channel called the Happy Wife
Yeah.
School or something like that.
Yeah. Happy Wife School. Yeah.
And this is all right. There's some guys here that are instantly going to think that I'm simping because I'm just not a huge fan of women coming on and teaching red pill stuff and
Yeah.
whatever. Just not a big. I'm not. I'm not against it. I don't want to condemn anybody. I think everyone's doing the best that they can. Most people are, and doing
Sure.
it in good faith.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, her channel
Mm.
is blowing me away. I've probably watched 5 videos
Yeah.
since I found it and her shorts. What do you think of the Happy Wife School?
Well, first of all, I definitely advise and suggest everyone check out her channel. I was also blown away just because she's so succinct. And the first video that I watched of hers was actually a live, but she actually took about the first 10 minutes to just sort of frame things and then took a couple questions. But the way that she framed things for me was the first time that I thought, bingo, that's it. She was able to frame it as far as taking character, personal responsibility in a way that was just so incredibly relevant and succinct that I just was like, oh my gosh, this is a woman that I could definitely not only follow, but like benefit from her coaching. Because she embodies it. She's not just spewing um, what everybody else is saying. She's not just regurgitating what she's heard from another influencer. This is a woman who's been married, has done the work, has been doing the wrong things, has learned, has changed, and is
Yes,
now doing the right things.
yes.
And I love her succinctness. I love the way she framed it. And yeah,
Cena just says, "I just subscribed. Thank you for sharing this channel." So that's
yeah,
wonderful. So,
yeah,
uh,
yeah,
so Karen just got a new subscriber. Peg
yeah.
Bell asks, "What's the temp there?"
Today, let's see. Right now, it's 66. We've had a cool summer. Um, it's 66, and it's 3:30 in the afternoon. So for
Nice.
August, that's a little cooler. We've had a rainy summer. It hasn't been a great summer weather-wise. Um, but yeah, 66 degrees, 3:30 in the afternoon, the beginning of August. Yeah,
Oh boy, that's nice.
it is
I
nice.
would love. I'm
Yeah.
just sitting here like wiping sweat off my eyes
Oh
because
yeah.
I am just the
Yeah.
sweat is burning my eyes. Jeremy
Mm.
Bailey, hello from the UK.
Hey, Jeremy.
Jeremy, it must be midnight. Let's see, you're 5 hours ahead of us, so it's 12:30 there. Excellent.
Jeremy's up late. Like it.
Yes, he is. Jay Hawthorne says, "I'm thinking about trucking in Alaska." Okay,
Mm. Yeah.
that's interesting.
You mean
You
doing
know
the
anything?
work like yeah, doing trucking as far as work, I'm presuming. Yeah, that's it's
Yeah,
lots of
I have a lot of
jobs,
I have a
good
lot of
money.
truckers that follow this
Hmm.
channel.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of good money, lots of jobs, lots of opportunities. Yeah. It's lucrative
Excellent.
because yeah.
Good. Savvy D just says, just subscribed to the Happy Wife School.
She
Excellent.
is, yeah.
Right? I mean,
She's
you
money.
and I both were blown
Mhm.
away.
Yeah,
We are blown away by her.
yeah.
I'll tell you what she reminds me of.
Uh-huh.
Not She has a balanced view on things.
Yes.
I'm not comparing these two, but several years ago, I had someone who watched this channel commented a few times, and then I reached out to them, and they had a channel, and the first video I watched of hers was something about house dresses, like why
Mhm.
women should wear a house dress,
Uh-huh.
and they don't have to be like these frumpy grandma dresses. They
Right.
can
Just
still
dress
be
cute.
something attractive. Yep.
Sure.
And that's Lindy Sellers, and she's a friend of
Mhm.
the channel. Everybody
Mhm.
here knows Lindy. I would say most
Yeah.
people know Lindy here. And
Yeah.
so Karen kind of reminds me of Lindy. Lindy's got her Southern thing going on,
Yeah.
and has a whole completely different vibe than Karen.
Mhm.
But I shot an email out to Karen because I want to have her on here, and I got to have a
Oh gosh.
conversation with her
Yeah.
and introduce her. And I would love to see her channel
Yeah.
kind of. I mean,
Grow.
she's got some great stuff, and I think she's got about 4,000, maybe a little over 4,000 subscribers.
Hmm.
Uh, this woman is going to get to 100,000 by the end of the year, no
I could
doubt in my mind.
I could definitely see that. Yeah. Her information is so, I think for the type of audience that you have, and I know most of your channel is men, but even for the women,
Mhm.
um, specifically for women, but she also deals a lot with men. But the information that she gives women is exactly what we need as far as wanting to have um, quality relationships and being virtuous women and being women of value. And basically, the core value of it is to take responsibility in the form of you're the problem and you're the solution. So women in relationships with their husbands, their boyfriends, their mates, whatever, and men can learn from this too. But it's not. We've adopted this victim mentality, and what she points out and how she frames it is that it's me, I'm the problem and I'm the solution. And instead of saying, he's not meeting my needs, he's not doing this for me, or I can't get him to do this, or why don't I feel this, or why can't I be this, it's like, how can I change? What is it that I'm doing? How am I emasculating my man? And it's so refreshing to hear. And I can see, I've been in a
Yeah.
place where she shared something recently on one of her posts or her YouTubes that said, she had a follower or even a client that said to her, wow, at first I was really offended. And then I kind of came around, and I could see either women are going to be ready for it, or they're going to be almost ready for it. And they're going to be open to, if we really want to change, to hearing what she has to say, because it's such good information on
Right.
just even the subtle ways that we don't realize that we are emasculating men. And it's subtle. It's not always outright. It's not abusive. It's not cynical. It's not hateful. And then I think it's useful for men also to follow that her to sort of learn the signs of when maybe a woman is doing that, and to call her out on it,
Yeah.
and love it, whatever, in a way where there's mutual trust and all that. But if anyone's wanting to be in a relationship or enhance their relationship, I think it's definitely something that is really good. I don't follow a lot of YouTubes. Sometimes I just look for stuff that I might need at that time, that I might want to learn, or that I might want to reference.
Right.
And I check out women's channels, but her particular content
Yeah.
is by far
She had me at the
best.
first video, at the very first.
Yeah.
I was just like, where has this like all of a sudden YouTube suggests her to me.
Oh,
Cena
great.
just comments. She says the title of her video.
You
I'm even
froze.
more. Did I just okay? Am
That
I
you
back?
froze for me. I don't know for anyone
Okay.
else.
I think I disappeared for myself too when I'm looking at the screen here. Cena says the titles of her videos alone would upset so many women.
Yes.
I'm even more excited to watch her now. That's
Cena, that's
great.
awesome. Cena, we're in good company, aren't we, Cena? Yeah. It's really good. And even though her like Cena said, there's going to be some women who might be offended by that because right now in the influence era of Instagram and YouTube and TikTok, there is the, we're victims and, femininity or feminist movement and all that. But I think if a woman is really wanting to have a meaningful relationship or is already in a relationship with her husband and wants it to grow and get better, what she has to offer, and it's done in such a beautiful way. There's no like, well, you're this and you got to change and you got to be that. No, the way she frames it and presents it is beautiful and wonderful because again, she's embodied it. She's been through it. She's done it the wrong way. And she
Well,
gives, not only does she
I'm
give anecdotes, but examples from other influencers and
yeah.
relationship specialists. So yeah.
It's funny how I think one of the first videos that I watched was like 10 ways that women emasculate men or something to
Yeah.
that effect. And she
Yeah.
does this video on how she used to just basically put her husband down and just like different ways to manipulate him
Yeah.
and guilt trip him and
Yeah.
this kind of thing. And she said her marriage improved when she gave up that whole mindset
Yeah.
and everything just turned around right away.
Yeah. And that's not to say she couldn't express her needs or her wants from her husband. Like she gave an example in one of them. I think it was one of the first ones that I watched where her husband would say, "You want to say that in a different way?"
Right.
I absolutely love that because to
Right.
me that would catch me. It's like sure, and hey, you want to present that in a different way. Like he called her out, and
Yeah.
because and again it was subtle. It's not like she wasn't even necessarily yelling at him, but
Right.
it's the way that we do things, and
Right.
we're either doing it out of our own wounds, our own triggers, or that's all we know how to do it because that's how our moms did it, or that's how society does it, or that's how I saw it in a movie, hand on the hip, and
Right.
yeah, yeah. Ooh.
Yeah, and I think that was the thing that impressed me when I went to her channel. And it's funny. I'm one of the only channels I know that just like very energetically directs people away from my own channel.
Yeah,
I,
right,
that's really not a thing uh, in the community I roll with. Is like there's
right.
not a lot of referring people away from you. It's like, please don't leave me. I'm like, you know what? If you
Yeah,
want to go, there's the door. I'm not
yeah,
going to stop you. Hey, you spent 6 months with me and then I offended you, but hey, you know
yeah,
what? Thank you for the 6 months.
right,
You'll be
right.
back. But so that's how I look at it.
Yeah.
Terry Cox says, "I'm curious. Is she more old school in her approach?" Terry or Rachel, would you say that Karen Seats is old in her approach? Would you say she's old school?
No, I wouldn't say she's old school. But that being said, she's certainly not doing it in the way that many influencers are, or relationship coaches are, or self-proclaimed gurus in relationships, or femininity are. She's doing it from approach of almost like if she's not a therapist, but if she was a therapist, she calls herself a teacher, and rightly so, and in a way that is very poignant. So I don't think when you say old school, in my mind, no, but it's not in a way that is done, um, you know, as many influencers do, especially the younger generation, that I've seen so much of on like
Yeah,
Instagram. I'm not on TikTok and all that.
yeah.
Opening my social media, but in my opinion, so I mean, old school could mean something different to you. I'm not sure, Terry, what you would define as old school, but in my mind, no. But it is very different, and it's not even about how she presents it; it's what she's presenting, which is just like I felt like this. I felt like Like, I'd like to solve the puzzle, please. And there it was. It's like, oh my gosh, that
Yeah.
is it. And it's so simple. And it really is coming down to taking responsibility and not being a victim. It's pretty much it. That is, and if that's old school, sure.
Yeah.
um, it's like, but she nails it right on the head. And she doesn't just say it and like, so go do it, ladies. I mean, she gives relative examples and then even shows different relationship experts who are saying, giving their advice on, why women act this way. And she gives the difference of like, actually, no, those are actual symptoms of when we're not doing this. And her videos are also, they're not very long. So they're easy to watch and they're easy to digest.
Yes.
And to take and just kind of hold on and chew on and then put into practice, because we're also in a time where so much is available. I mean, just talk about dating. There's no better time in the history of the world to date than now, because of all the access of the dating apps, right? Well, there's no better time to get all the information that you need, that you're desiring, with YouTube. So, but I think we're such an information gathering society that I think it's really important to not just take her stuff as more information, but to sit there and go, wow, how is this showing up in my life? And not just even in
Yes.
relationships. Let's
Yes.
just say you're single and you're wanting to date. How are you doing that with your coworkers, with your family, and with other men? Even in like, oh my God, I can't believe, did you just see what that guy did? I mean, it's kind of, it's just that it's a mentality. And then it comes down to truly knowing yourself, and valuing yourself, and then understanding you as a woman, and then learning to understand men, and vice versa, as a man knows himself and then understanding women. Like, we're so different in how we communicate and how we see things and how we express our needs. And it's just,
Hmm.
yeah, it's good stuff.
Well, you and I came up in an era that didn't have cell phones and the internet in your hand, and when we
No,
wanted to look up the definition of something, we actually had to open up a dictionary, and there
it's
was no such thing.
Encyclopedia Britannica.
Yeah, there was no such thing as the internet. There was
Yeah,
people didn't have computers were for government offices, motor vehicle department.
yeah,
Now it has changed everything. So you and I
yeah,
came up, and many of the people on the show,
yeah.
who are in the chat right now, are older, and I have a great age range right now. I mean, I have people that are your age, my age, and older. I have
Mm-hmm.
people that are just out of high school and in college on this
Mm-hmm.
broadcast right now,
Yeah,
actually. So that's pretty
it's
cool.
awesome.
But we came up the hard way, where like um like my generation was, you don't ask a woman for her number, you ask her for her address, and you plan a date, and you might
Mm-hmm.
talk on the phone, and her father
Yeah,
might be listening on the other, like in the other room or something, right?
on the
Something
second
like that,
phone. Yeah,
on the second phone.
yeah,
And then you'd go to the woman's house, talking for the men here, and actually knock on the front door,
yeah,
and maybe dad would answer, or maybe it was her first apartment, because we're old enough where men would pick up women and take them on a date and then take
yes,
them home. And that
yes,
was a thing. That doesn't
yes,
happen anymore. Women don't want a guy knowing where she lives right away. I think social media did this. I
yeah,
think. I don't know. But I don't think a woman wants a man knowing where she lives unless she's been with him on some dates for maybe 3 times, 4 times, like whatever, where they
yeah.
might come on in for a drink, or let me make you dinner, or
Mm-hmm.
something to that effect. The world is different. What is your experience?
Well, yeah, it's definitely different. And I think and it's not always just because they're being independent. I think in our society today, even the past 10 years, it's just, even giving out your phone number isn't necessarily safe. And I think women can attest to this. It's just, and not to say this to sound like a victim or to sound like, whoa, women, we're not safe, but it's just not safe, because there are a lot of people out there that you just got to make sure. And
Yeah.
unless you know them, like you know them from work, or you know them from something else, or you know them
Yeah.
from a long time ago, yeah, that whole I'm not going to give out my address
Right,
necessarily.
right.
And even if I was on a dating site, the great thing about dating sites right now is that you can actually, without giving out your number, not only can you chat and leave voice messages, but you can also do
Yes.
like a face-to-face, like a FaceTime,
Yep.
the equivalent of FaceTime. So that's great to get sort of that sort of sense of the energy. But as far as actually going out on dates these days, yeah, it's a little bit different. And it's not always that women are so independent that they don't need to be picked up. It's like, I think it's kind of safer, and men, I think, typically know that, especially um, those who are a little bit younger, maybe in their 20s and 30s. But yeah, I mean, back in the day, like when I was in my 20s, yeah, he came and picked me up, and it was pretty safe. Um, yeah,
Do you remember the movie In a Bronx Tale? Like the
I,
like the test, the girlfriend test. Like you,
yeah,
as you're walking to your car, you unlock your. This is of course before remotes that unlock the whole car. When you would
right.
have to unlock one door at a time, open it
Mm-hmm,
up. She gets
mm-hmm,
in. You close the
yeah,
door. If she doesn't reach
should
over to your side and unlock the door,
I?
she's
Yeah,
done. There's
or
no
open the
second
door.
date. But if she does, it's like she's into you. And it was like one of those weird things back in the 50s and 60s, when I was growing up, and maybe even
Right.
into the 70s, because there
Well,
weren't
yeah,
remotes on cars. And
yeah.
and I
Well,
remember that character, he was telling the young boy, he says, women, good women are like the prize fighters. You only get three of them in your lifetime. He
wow.
goes, they come along like the prize fighters every
Yeah.
10 years or something like that. I don't know.
Well, I think it definitely went into the 80s because, like, I have three older brothers, right? And one of my brothers, the youngest of my brothers, I'm the youngest, but the youngest of my brothers, I remember before he got married, we must have been in our 20s, and he's like, "Man, if she does not reach open the door for me, it's over." And so, and that was like in the 80s, right? Or maybe
Yes.
early 90s,
Yeah.
probably I'm going to say early 90s. And I remember him saying that. He's like, or like actually his wife now, he's like, she opened the door for me. She like reached in and opened the door. Like he
Right.
opened the door for her because, like, that's what they did. He opened the door for her. She got in, leaned over and opened the door for him. And I remember thinking, okay, goodness gracious, that shouldn't make it or break it. But yeah, I kind of get it because that scene probably enmeshed in a lot of people's brains as far as the value of how a man treats a woman when there's so much more. But yeah, it's funny when you're saying that. I immediately thought of my brother Eric. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my god.
Well,
Yeah,
I am a door opener. I don't want to say old
love that.
school, but I hold doors for women and
Yeah,
I will open up. If I am driving, I open up the door, her door.
yeah,
She sits in, I close the door, I walk around, get in. And
yeah,
I grew up like that. So I'm immediately a weirdo to a lot of uh, people from a younger generation who have been taught no. Even women, even younger women
mm-hmm.
would feel weird if a man opened up a door for them. They'd be like, "What am I supposed to do?"
Really?
Yeah, young women just don't know that. They just
Well,
don't know that.
yeah, I will say this. I was working flying with someone recently. I was working with, and first, let me just say this. I love it when a man does that. And I think every woman, if you could like raise your hand in here, we love that. We want that. It's chivalry. It's not dead. Call it old school. Call it what you want. Everyone's going to call it something different. But what it does is it just brings out more of our femininity. So I love it. And even if you're not used to it, ladies, practice it. Practice it when you're at the store or you're somewhere and somebody's opening a door for you. Just to allow them, because it's the act of allowing that is another step towards us being in our softness and our femininity. Again, it doesn't mean you're not an independent, strong, fun, outgoing person. It just means you're
Right.
allowing. And then as far as the really young generation, I will say, like I was mentioning, I was flying with someone, and she recently moved up to Alaska. She lived in Washington State, and she said, one of the final straws from me was I lived in a secure building, and I was inside the building, and I was talking to one of my neighbors, and there was this person who obviously lived there because she fobbed herself in, and she had like a big pizza box in one arm and groceries in another, and like books under her chin. And, the guy I was flying with was like, oh, can I get, just out of like, oh, you have a lot of things in your hand. And she went to go, and the woman opening the door did not acknowledge her. And so she saw her continue to struggle, went to go open the door. And then the woman who was struggling was like, who's, a young, very young person, obviously, but old enough to live on her own. And it's like, she's like, I don't know you.
Wow.
And she was like, that's when I knew, like, I'm kind of done with big cities. But I just sat there with my mouth open, and she's like going, right? And she's like, who does that? She's like, I'm not being abusive to her. I'm not trying to do anything. I'm just trying to help a fellow human being. So maybe with the 20-year-olds, that might be a thing. As far as like, don't open a door for me because I don't know you. I don't know. She only told me about one circumstances. I don't really pay much attention other than to myself. So I don't know if there's, young women here who could testify to that or say, yeah, I don't like a dude opening the door. It's freaky, or, and
Yeah.
I do get the element of safety, and in this case, this was, the gal lived and was inside the apartment complex. Anyways, yeah, it's interesting. And that's just another product of your environment. I
Sure.
think so.
Sure.
I think
Cena
it's so.
says, I still reach over to open the door. You can unlock the door. Okay. All right. Cena,
Yeah,
good. That's good.
yeah,
That's a good sign. Terry Cox says younger women definitely don't get that. I agree
yeah,
with Rachel. Love it. The sign of a
yeah,
gentleman. Okay. Excellent.
yeah, yeah.
All
And
right.
then
So
men, hopefully,
for
they
those
love
that
doing
just
that too.
for those
Really,
that just joined, we have Rachel, the flight attendant, with us, and she has
Rachel, the
become.
flight attendant.
I have several regulars that I bring on, and you just are naturally a regular. I can just shoot you a text,
Yeah, it's
um,
fun.
and say, be ready in 10 minutes or something,
Yeah,
like that, and
I'm
you
like, I'm in
show
the
up, and
car. Yeah,
yeah, and you just, you're a good sport and everything like that, and you are
yeah.
looking unusually pretty tonight.
Oh, thank
Like,
you,
yeah,
thank you,
yeah,
George. That's
it's
very
like
kind.
there's something different about you. I don't know what it is, but I just thought I would say that.
Oh, well, thank you.
Anyways, all right, gentlemen, young man, take notes. All right, please. Anyways, uh, so all right, so for the
We always
people,
appreciate that.
yeah, so for the people that have just joined or just subscribed to the channel within the past month or so, Rachel is a flight attendant, lives in Anchorage, Alaska,
Mm.
and commented on one of my videos or posts or something like that, and then I commented back and just said email me or something like that, and it was a
Yeah,
really good, it was a really really good comment, the initial comment. I believe it was a public comment, not a, wasn't like a private message, a DM or anything like that.
no, no,
And
it
at that,
was. Yeah,
yeah, and
sorry.
I think we went back a couple times, and I said, uh, come on the show and let's talk.
Yeah,
That's it, because I wanted you to expand on some of the things that you had brought up in that initial email, and that is how I get to know a lot of people,
yeah,
is through situations like that. That's how I got to know Jenny in Chicago when
mm,
she commented on my
yeah,
widower video,
yeah.
and bringing her on was a big step for her. And
Hmm.
since then, she started a YouTube
YouTube
channel,
channel.
which is just out of this world, just really out of this world.
Yeah,
And, I've really come to really be a cheerleader for their family.
mm,
And,
hmm,
I think, it's just one of those call me anytime kind of things. Doesn't matter what
sure.
time of day it is, just call me anytime. So,
Yeah,
but I've had some regulars on here. You have become a regular because you, basically, because you, I don't want to say because you agree with everything I say, because that's not the criteria. The
no,
criteria is that you are an independent thinker.
yeah,
Um, you don't use ad hominem techniques. Like, you're not a name caller to people.
mm,
You don't refer to men using certain language, and uh,
mm,
and you're honest about, not unlike this Karen Seitz, who, was married, and what saved her marriage was her
Yeah.
leveling up, not her
Yeah.
husband. She
Yeah.
wasn't standing there with her arms folded saying, "Get your shit
Mm-mm.
together, boy, or this is over with." She
Yeah.
worked on herself, which reminds me of something that Wes Watson said. Wes Watson, Wes Watson.
Yeah.
So, uh,
Yes, Mr. Watson.
yep. And he said something like, think about like the qualities that you like in other people. He
Hmm.
says, and be that. And that was like, whoa, that was pretty profound coming out of his mouth.
Yeah.
And like what qualities do you appreciate in other people? You're like, well, I like people that can talk to me without yelling at me, people that, are cooperative, people that are into teamwork, people that make me laugh. And his advice would be, well, then you be all that yourself.
Yeah.
And you will attract more people like that, as opposed to just sitting there with your arms folded, expecting the world to treat you by your standards or to your satisfaction. So you have that flexible attitude. You want to know more. You have answers, but not all the answers. And that I've said that for years, that I have answers here. People come to this for answers, but I don't have all the answers, and I'm the first to admit it. And you kind of
Yeah.
embody that as well. But for those that have just subscribed in the past month or so, Rachel was on about a
Hmm.
month ago, and we've had some great talks. You've been on the channel probably. Might be your fourth time, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah. I
something
think
like
the
that.
third or fourth time. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're not flying today, are you? Because
No,
you're
no, no,
4
no.
hours, so it's 4 in the afternoon for you.
Yeah. It's a day
All
off.
right.
Just
Okay.
came up from my friend's house. Yeah. Yeah. When I had it, actually, it was on Instagram that I actually replied to a gentleman's comment that was on your page. So it wasn't to you directly. And um, I think his comment was, gosh, that sounds great, but women like that don't exist. And I was like,
Right.
but
Right.
we do exist. I mean, I was a little more, I had a little more finesse than that. And I just said, we do exist. We're here. We may not be on dating sites. We may not be here, but we are here. And then I think you had emailed me from there, and we started a great conversation. But I thought it was really important. I just felt so compelled to just say, look, we're here, and not to just kind of stand up and prove like, no, there are good women, but like, no, we're here, we're doing the inner work, and we may not be, everywhere. We may be a little more few and far between, but we're here and we're doing the inner work. And I do feel like when one is ready, and one starts to do the inner work, and if you're in a situation that you're single, then you decide, okay, I'm ready to meet someone, or I'm ready to get married, then you will start to meet that person, or find those women and find those women, kind of like what Wes Watson said. Look, if you want to be this type of person, then you decide what it is, and then you just start to emulate it. And on the surface that's good, but then you gotta start digging down too, as far as to all the other things in your life, as far as, well, I want to show up this way. And so in order to show up that way, what work do I need to do? Or where do I need to have awareness about
Yes.
myself that is maybe chasing these men or women away, or that is maybe getting started off with a great relationship, but things don't, it goes nowhere. It's like, well, what is it? Or what is it that I'm choosing? Or what is it about me that I need to self-reflect on and do some work on in order to do that? And that comes full circle right back to the Happy Wife, or the Happy, what is it, the Happy Wife Club? Yeah, the Happy Wife channel, or the Happy Wife Club, whatever her
Yes.
her her page is. And
Yeah. Happy Wife School.
Happy Wife School. Yeah. And for me, it's just about, and as far as, coming on your channel and being invited, it's just about saying yes. It's like, I didn't know what you were going to ask me on our first interview. I had no
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
And, but I was just willing to say yes, and then answer the questions as I see it, or from my perspective, with my relationships that went astray and didn't, come to a place where I would have liked them to. Um, and and thus with the lives and then all the other information, it's just saying yes. And then through that too, I continue to learn more about myself as well. So it's been super fun to do. And
Yeah.
yeah.
It's interesting how when we look at ourselves, I've always said this, like, no matter how we put ourselves down,
Mm-hmm.
there is somebody who still thinks we are, the greatest person in the world.
Sure.
It's consistent with there's a lid for every pot kind of thing your grandmother said to you, 50 years ago.
Right.
And I used to joke around and say, that like really, really overweight, unattractive woman on that electric cart thing in Walmart, there was a guy looking at her saying, I wonder if she's single. I wonder what she's doing tonight.
Mm.
There's somebody for everybody. And I
Right.
think the key is to kind of find the match. And I don't want to say some people are above or below other people, but I think that it's something that, there's a chemistry when you get to know people, that I personally think that people have to go from virtual to real life quickly
Yeah.
for momentum to take place, because
Yes.
I have seen for years women saying things like, I'm not looking for a text buddy or something like that. And
Mm.
I don't know if men say that because I don't look at, men's stuff. But
Right.
so many women would say, I'm not looking for a text buddy. And I get that, because I think people that insist on, like, you have to get to know me through texting or through a phone call, because we're not getting together until you get to know me. I'm like, well, all right, so what's the safety threshold? What am I going to say? What am I going to text that's going to give you a green light where you say, oh, this guy is cool. I'll meet with him, and then see where it goes from there. How about you, Rachel, the flight attendant?
And you're talking about a dating situation, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, as far as what I would need from a man, do you mean? I guess I'm not really clear on what you're asking. What I need from a man to feel safe to
Yeah,
proceed?
like there is the hierarchy. Like in your
Uh-huh.
first communication, you don't say, let's meet for coffee.
Right.
Most guys know that. Like
Right.
your first communication is not going to be, let's meet. It's, you got to kind of
Right.
go
There's a
back and
back and
forth.
forth. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
And,
Yeah.
and then it goes from dating site to texting on the phone to
Gotcha.
phone calls, whatever.
Yeah.
And that becomes known to both people at about the same time. Both people
Yeah.
kind of get bored with just communicating via text. And
Yeah.
then it's like, then there's a hunger for talking on the phone. And that
Yeah.
might only happen for a day or two. And
That's,
then
yeah.
the escalation happens where it's like,
Yeah.
we have to meet.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah. So I think for me, and I think I can speak for a few women here, when it comes to doing like a dating site and there's that initial exchange, definitely when you come on, like let's say you just like someone's photo or somebody liked yours and there's that, hi, how are you? I really liked your photo. And they're like, let's meet. That's a little like, whoa. Um, slow
Right.
down, sailor. But and then there's that exchange, and it could be for a couple of days or so. And then it's always nice as a woman, again, I'm only speaking for myself, and maybe other women can sort of chime in here as far as if they feel the same way or feel differently. Is for me, it's like it's nice after a couple of days or a few exchanges over a period of a few days, um, depending on how much they're going back and forth, that sort of little dance, to have the man say, "Oh, here's my number," or would you like to talk more? I personally do like to talk on the phone or do like a FaceTime because I feel like you
FaceTime.
kind of get
Right.
a
Right.
right. There's like a sense of
Yeah.
energy. I mean, I've done
Yeah.
it where I didn't, and it's kind of like, oof, even if it's just like
Well,
coffee or a walk.
hear this.
And Mhm.
Sina says, I don't like texting because it's harder to practice discernment,
Well, there
which
you go.
really,
Yeah,
which can only be done face to
right.
face, or at
Yeah,
least scratch the surface with like FaceTime.
yes. Well, and so but it's that initial, first day or two. After that, if they're not making a move, again, I'm speaking as a woman. If a man is not making a move, even if it's just like you met someone out at the park or out at an event and you got their number, and they're not sort of taking it to like, I'd love to take you out, I'd love to see you,
Yeah.
after a few texts or a day or two,
Yeah.
then I'm not a fan of texting, because you can fill in and you can fantasize and create something that isn't. So I am
Oh, interesting.
definitely, yeah. Oh my gosh. It's so easy to do. It's so easy to fill in the blanks. It's so easy to
Yeah.
fill in the space because you start imagining and sensing what they mean. So I'm right on point with her as far as texting. I do think in that beginning, like just the first day or two, like if I get a text from someone from a dating site, and then I text back and they text me and I text, a few exchanges, and then to phone, and then, you know, hopefully you can make a point to meet and go for, it doesn't have
Right.
to be dinner. It can go for a walk. I like to do that. I like to go for walks or coffee, something a little brief until and you get to know a little bit more. Because
Right.
that's the purpose of a date, is to get to know someone. It's not to determine this is my husband. You're getting to know someone. You're getting
Right.
to know, you're getting to see how they interact. You're getting to know a little bit more about what they value and where they go. And there might be certain things in a woman's arsenal, if you will, that where she can ask those questions and see if he is in alignment with her as far as virtuous, their faith, and all that great stuff. But
Yeah.
I do think there's that little dance of exchange, and then either because, and I appreciate when a man offers their phone number, because I don't always want to give out my phone number, because I've had that. I've had an experience in the past where I had to block them. It was just like they were just like, okay, enough. So it's nice when they offer their phone number. But yeah, either that or a FaceTime or a call on the app, and then going into interacting and seeing how you are together and getting to know, and not just the good feelies, but truly, I hate to say this word, but vetting one another and just really seeing if you're in the same, want the same things and enjoy this and having fun, not just going, okay, let me see and let me vet, but also having fun. So yeah,
Right.
that's all I have to say about that. That's
Cena
my perspective.
says, I agree with Rach. Texting leads to filling in the blanks, and the
Oh
last
my
thing
God.
women need to is to fantasize when most
Yeah,
are already living in delusion.
there you go. Nailed
Oh,
it. She said it
oh, that's
perfectly.
that's
Yeah,
brilliant.
yeah.
That is
Because
brilliant.
then we come with that, we have a tendency to come with expectations, and we were taught as when in school to use our imagination,
Right.
and that carries over, and there's nothing wrong with using your imagination, but we can fill in the blanks, and it's not good. I'm all for meeting sooner rather than later and really seeing
Yeah.
if there is some type of connection, commonality, and alignment, and
Momentum.
momentum,
Momentum.
and not having huge expectations. Yeah.
I think what happens, it's kind of like having a mastermind group. You have 10 people around a table. There's 10 different minds, and then the
Yeah.
one, there's really 11. I've heard people say this. Then there's really 11 people around the table. There's the 10 individuals, and then there's the mastermind. There is all the opinions, experience, all the data from all 10 people come together to form a mastermind.
Mm-hmm.
So, like for instance, I'm going to a mastermind tomorrow. 12
Sure.
people around a table.
Yeah.
When it's your turn, you stand up, you tell your problem, and then there's your personal board of directors right
Ah,
there. And
yeah.
that's when I just go zip and just
Mm-hmm.
listen and take
Yes.
notes. And that could
Mm-hmm.
take up to an hour. So that's what my day is tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Good
Um,
day.
I think the same thing, same exact thing with when you go on a date. There's the him, the her, and then the momentum. Like there's a
Mm-hmm.
momentum. Like if you ever had to like bump start a car, if you're pushing the car and it's rolling really slow. it's not hard to stop the car at that point. You could just stand in front of it and stop it.
Yeah.
But once that car is rolling and there's 4,000 pounds behind that roll, you can't stop that. And I think that's where relationships have to go. They got to get that momentum where they are unstoppable. They take on a mind of their own. They're more than him. They're more than her. They start to become a they. And I think with the momentum of the they, in the beginning, it's the him and her pulling it along. I think once the momentum starts, the they part pulls the two individuals, the him and the her.
Yeah. Yeah. That inertia, right? Yeah. Where it begins to morph into something more, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, it
That's a
it
great way
it,
to describe it.
it kind of it's weird because you would think that I mean, I know there's the scripture that talks about, the two shall become one. So
Right.
that's like a strange math.
Mm-hmm.
The two shall become one. It's almost mystical. It's weird. Two become
Mm-hmm.
one. Well, there's still
Yeah.
a him, there's still a her, but then there's a
Right.
they. And it's the they. I think people have dual citizenship. They have to take care of themselves and they have to take care of their relationship. They
Definitely.
are stewards of, I'm a steward of my body, of my
Mm-hmm.
belly. I'm a steward of my health, my blood work.
Yeah.
But I'm
Yeah.
also a steward of the leadership of that damn marriage, of where it's
Yes.
going and how I'm going to lead it. And am I the rock and such?
Yes.
So there's a dual role.
Yeah. And I think, well, I've seen and experienced to a certain degree that women, we have a tendency to not um, value ourselves or to lose ourselves in the relationship, especially when there's children or young children, involved once they start having children in the relationship. And, out of a sense, because that is our nature, we are givers. And it's so important to know like who you are and to continue to have that sense of yourself so that you can allow that man and be that individual part of that they at the same time. I
You
think
you
it's
have
really
said
important.
this. You have said this one word for the past several broadcasts.
What did I
You,
say?
you
I
would
don't even
say a
know.
lot. I'll explain this now because, like, when I hear you say it, I go back a little bit.
Mm.
You say, "I'm going to allow this man
Ah,
to whatever,"
mhm.
and I'm like, "Oh, so you're the gatekeeper, eh? Okay, I see."
Well, I don't see it as allowing as a gatekeeper. Okay, so you think of a man, right? And what he is built to do, provide, protect. Um,
Be present.
and then be present, right? And then there's a woman, right? We're very giving, right? We know how to give. We know how to take care of the children. We know how to take care of the household. We know how to, but then, so the allowing it's not a gatekeeping. Allowing is receiving. So receiving a man, allowing him to open the door for you, allowing him to provide for you, allowing him, and not going, well, no, you're going to control me if you do that. It's
Right,
like,
right.
I mean, I'm laughing because it's kind of it's ridiculous in my mind, but I realize people do have these triggers, or and so to allow. And Alison Armstrong talks about this a lot in Understanding Men and Queen's Codes. So I'm not saying
Hmm.
this came from me. This is just something not only that I've
Hmm.
learned or gleaned from information, but also have practiced. And it is allowing a man to be a man and receiving what he has to offer for you without condition and without saying, well, no, I kind of want it that way. Or can you do it this way? It's like, or, it'd be better if you did this instead of this. It's like just allowing to be and enjoy what a man offers you. And that's not to say you can't, again, express your needs or grow together and build together. But for me, allowing as a woman and being receptive and receiving is a very important part of femininity. It means that I am not having to make it happen. And I am not having to make my man do something or force him to do something. So gatekeeping, it doesn't have any, as far as be like, I'm not, it's like, that saying that women are the gatekeepers of sex and men are the gatekeepers of commitment. I don't mean gatekeeping as far as that. It has nothing
I
to
mean,
do with
I can
that.
hear men saying, "Okay, mommy," like, "Well, I allowed my man to." Well, you allow children to go outside and play, so I can
Oh,
see
no,
where
not like
some men.
that. Oh, not
Right,
like
right.
that. No,
I know that.
no.
I know
Yeah,
that.
no, 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 no. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about it as a woman
Yeah.
allowing ourselves to. No, yeah, yeah. I can. Okay. Well, hopefully y'all didn't think I meant that because that's not what I meant. So let me backpedal and
Right,
explain
right,
myself a
right.
little more. No, I mean receptivity and not being, you know, not being in our masculine and not thinking we have to do it all. Um, yeah, not like, oh, I'm going to allow you to go out and get some groceries for me now. No, that's not what I mean. And if you
Yeah.
think that's what I mean, okay, um, I am wanting to drive that point home or share that point only because you've asked me, because apparently I've said it a few times. I'm like, sometimes I'm like, what did I say? Like, oh, that was good. I'm
Yeah.
like, what did I say? But
That's funny.
to allow someone to, you know, it's just think of it like allowing a man to open the door instead of going, no, I can get it. Well, guess what, honey? I
Right.
know you can. Of
Right.
course you can. Of
Yeah.
course you're strong. We're not saying the men aren't saying you're incapable. But when you allow a man to do that, you're allowing him to be a gentleman, take care of you. And I think it continues to breed and build momentum, like you said,
Yep. Yep.
bringing it full circle, build momentum in a relationship or just in you showing up in a way that is fulfilling, which is to be feminine and show up in this world. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mandelbaum just said hi.
hi, Mandelbaum. What's up? I just have to say, I really enjoyed seeing Mandelbaum on uh, you had a video on divorce and breakups or, from a lawyer's perspective and some tips. And I really enjoyed seeing Mandelbaum and
Yep. Yep.
hearing some of his expert um, information. And he's definitely someone that you'd want in your corner.
Oh, definitely.
you
Definitely.
know, yeah, if you're going
Definitely.
through that.
Yeah.
So,
That's funny. Well, a lot of times,
so
like when I bring people on, they only know the name. So when I, put a face to that name,
yeah,
people are surprised. So I
yeah,
think that actually one guy made a comment and said, "Oh, it's nice to see the guy who always has those interesting comments because
yeah. His
he
comments are
always has
funny.
interesting." So it was cool to have him on the channel and for people to see who that guy
Right.
is. So that
Yeah.
was cool.
Yeah. So hopefully we're clear on the allow. I'm not
We
saying,
we're very clear on it.
okay, good. As far as from my
Yeah.
perspective, yeah, I'm not,
No, I totally get that. I mean,
yeah,
the
we just
reality
wanted to bring
is,
clarity.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I post nut clarity, as I like to say. So can't believe I just said that. But anyways,
Yeah, you
and
did.
actually,
You
that that
did.
that's when men think the clearest because prior to that, everything is skewed.
I'm
Everything.
sure. I'm
So
sure. Yeah.
after the event, then all of a sudden, 2 + 2 = 4. The sky is blue. You
Yeah.
know.
Sure.
Yep.
Sure.
All right. So I remember our first encounter was the role of a woman. And
Yeah.
you gave some pretty good things. And there was a chicken in vacuum.
That was awesome. It was
That
the neighbor's chicken. Yeah. Well, it
oh,
was
that
right.
is
It was literally. I felt like it was right in my ear, and I was like, because they're free roaming, free ranging chickens. But I was like,
yeah.
gosh, it just sounds like. And there's like steps behind me, and it was literally right behind me. I was like, I'm there's a chicken around, and I looked, and it was like right there. It was
Oh,
funny.
that's funny.
That was fun.
You couldn't have scripted that. That was great. That
That
was
was
great.
super
That
fun.
actually that was also when that guy came after me with a samurai sword.
Yes.
Like just a weird random event. A guy actually throwing a beer can that bounces off my windshield.
Oh my
And
gosh.
then he pulls out a samurai sword and like
Yeah.
starts running towards me. I just like put it in gear and take off.
You're like, hold
Crazy.
please.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
So,
Good times. Yeah, that was
yeah.
fun. That was a good interview. Those are
All right.
good
So
questions.
So you are back in the air. You are back in the air tomorrow. Is that correct?
No, I have tomorrow off again.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah. I have a couple days. Our summer schedule, it's funny. As a flight attendant, I have a lot of flexibility with my schedule, and a lot of times you can change out of things, drop things, people pick things up. But July and August, not so much, because those are vacations, weddings, all that great stuff. So it's hard to get rid of trips. But I do have
Sure.
a couple days off.
Oh, that's good.
The next couple days. So yeah, and I just came from a good friend of mine right before you were like, hey, I was like, all right, here we go.
Excellent. Excellent.
So yeah. So no, I do
That's
not fly tomorrow. Yeah, I do not
all
plan to
right.
fly tomorrow at least. So
Well, it's always good having you on. I don't want to keep
oh,
everybody or keep you, but it was fun.
thank you.
And,
Yeah,
just you're always a good sport. And I just want to make sure to acknowledge that. And
thank you.
we'll do it again sometime. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And
Nice to see everyone.
absolutely, absolutely. People had a lot of choices tonight on YouTube, but they chose to spend a couple minutes with us.
Yeah,
And for that, we are thankful.
yeah, and I
All
appreciate the
right.
offer, George. Thanks.
Absolutely.
All right.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.